You guys are probably tired of hearing me talk about stablecoins every other day, but it's just like tokenization, right? When tokenization was starting to get really talked about and addressed on center stage, I put a spotlight on it in a huge way because at that time, there wasn't a lot of money at all tied to tokenization on chain. There wasn't big players like BlackRock tied to tokenization and Fidelity and Franklin Templeton and things like that. And then over time, we saw tokenization just become one of the biggest things around crypto. And today, stablecoins are that thing. They're tokenization 2.0 essentially. Stablecoins are becoming so big and they are growing rapidly, and the race right now globally is on. And it just got kicked into overdrive with what we just saw from the EU, but also what we just saw from the BIS. And we have to address this. We have to talk about it. So with that being said, welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So if we go back in time to just March, right? We had Scott Bessent really kind of, I would say, confirm what the US wants to do. They are utilizing stablecoins as a financial weapon. Just like they weaponized the dollar, they are now weaponizing digital dollars. And we have here, and we are going to put a lot of thought in the stablecoin regime. And as President Trump directed, we are going to keep the US the dominant reserve currency in the world, and we will use stablecoins to do that. Check it out.
And we are going to put a lot of thought into the stablecoin regime. And as President Trump has directed, we are going to keep the US the dominant reserve currency in the world, and we will use stablecoins to do that. Thank you.
So there you guys have it. Now, on top of that, right, it didn't just stop there, because in the beginning of April, we also got, him doubling down on this. We will take a close look at regulatory impediments to blockchain, stablecoins, and new payment systems. United States Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent. Check it out.
We will take a close look at regulatory impediments to blockchain, stablecoins, and new payment systems. And we will consider reforms to unleash the awesome power of the American capital markets. Americans deserve a financial services industry that works for all Americans, including and especially Main Street. Under President Trump's leadership, the Treasury Department and I will deliver that to you. Thank you.
So again, what we are starting to see here is a growing spotlight around crypto, new payment systems specifically, right? Like we have to put a spotlight on that. But stablecoins. Stablecoins are accelerating the push towards the new payment systems, which are on DLT rails. I've said it over the last couple years. If you're new to the channel, then it's okay. But if you have been a watcher of the channel, you know that I've been stating this. The second that we start to see, stablecoins integrated within the government sector, right, around specific payments. It could be anything as small as, paying out, I think like back in 2020, this was like a big growing thing, but like paying out stimulus checks in stablecoins. Like once we start to do stuff like that, we are already in the future of payments, because from that point on, it just accelerates. Today, the main thing about stablecoins is the tokenization of treasuries. And this is where things start to really kind of snowball, right? Because there's over like $6 billion, or it might be up to like $8 billion at this point, worth of tokenized treasuries. Now, a lot of those tokenized treasuries are coming from stablecoin issuers, and it's only accelerating more and more and more. What we are witnessing is a complete redesign of the financial system as we know it. It's all moving digital. Stablecoins are they're the tokenized form of fiat currency. That's how I've always described stablecoins. I think everyone knows that at this point, and this is the future in which we are marching into. And what's crazy about these two video clips is that we got another one from Scott Bessent, and he's talking about the IMF and the World Bank. We have the IMF and the World Bank have enduring value, but mission creep has knocked these institutions off course. We must enact key reforms to ensure the Bretton Woods institutions are serving their stakeholders, not the other way around. Now, before I play this clip, let me just voice what I was just talking about. Stablecoins, finance, moving on chain, marching away from the traditional rails onto digital rails. This is something XRP holders have been talking about for years. And now we are witnessing everything shining in front of us. There's a spotlight put on this in front of us. All we have to do is pay attention because it's actually getting confirmed that it's happening. Check this out.
I have spent the bulk of my career from the outside looking in on financial policy circles. Now I am on the inside looking out. I am eager to work with each of you to restore order to the international system. To achieve this, however, we must first reconstruct the IMF and World Bank reconnect the IMF and the World Bank with their founding missions. The IMF and World Bank have enduring value, but mission creep has knocked these institutions off course. We must enact key reforms to ensure the Bretton Woods institutions are serving their stakeholders, not the other way around.
Now, over time, there has been a lot of speculation on what a Bretton Woods 3 type event would look like. A lot of people actually called it a commodity revolution, where pretty much what we would see is the entire global financial system backed by commodities yet again, but it would also be tied back to, digital ledgers, digital currencies. Now, I've stated many times that what would happen there is we would revalue gold, tokenize it, fractionalize it, and then what we would have is every single nation will have their own currency. It could be stablecoins, right? Initially it was CBDCs, but we now see that stablecoins are the big focus now. Stablecoins are basically CBDCs as well. I just want you guys to understand that. And what they would be tied back to is they would be tied back to a specified weight in gold. And that's what their backing would be. That's what would, pretty much have them remain stable. And then what we would also have is a bridge currency, a neutral bridge currency that nobody controls, that will also be tied back to and valued in a specified weight of gold. This has been a long-term speculated view of what a new financial system would look like, but we didn't really have any clear guidance up until this point, which we now have the Trump admin, with, of course, Scott Bessent, basically saying that they want to align the IMF and the World Bank on this mission to push forward and innovate. And what we have been hearing from this Trump admin is that they want to utilize crypto. They want to make sure that crypto is the big key here. And what's crazy about this is we are marching into a multipolar world of finance. Just recently, on the 23rd, we got breaking news. China has released an action plan to promote the use of the yuan and its own payment system in international trade. There it is. The country aims to reduce its reliance on the dollar-based global financial system as it confronts Washington's aggressive trade policies. The trade war and the tariff discussions, as I've stated before, is an accelerant. It is a big, problem that's causing so many issues. And there we have it, right? Problem, reaction, solution. The solution here, and what we're going to start to see, is all these nations really kind of pushing back, just like China's doing here, utilizing their own currency, utilizing their own payment systems, and this is going to accelerate that push towards stablecoins, digital currencies, DLT, blockchain-based systems. It's the same exact thing as like the sanctions, right? Sanctions also caused that big discussion around the use of blockchain and how can Russia get around sanctions? Are they going to utilize stablecoins? Are they going to utilize Bitcoin or Ethereum? Like, this has always been an ongoing thing, and we have every single major accelerant right in front of us. And what's funny about all of this is we also just saw the EU, the ECB, warn Trump's pro-crypto stance could trigger financial contagion that may destabilize Europe's economy. But then read the second part. The ECB fears that a surge in US-backed stablecoins could lead to a flight of European capital into the US. This is exactly why we are seeing so much promotion of US-backed stablecoins. Now what this is going to lead to is the ECB promoting the use of EU-backed stablecoins. And also, they're going to start to really, push for stablecoin legislation outside of MiCA. They already have MiCA, but I do think that, and a lot of people have actually addressed this, MiCA is kind of restrictive on stablecoins. I think that they're going to have reforms around that. We don't know just how that will work yet, but it seems as though the EU is getting ready because they're now flipping on what the US is doing. And what the US is doing is going to accelerate every single nation's plan here, because even the UK has been discussing stablecoins. The ECB just told us what's going to happen next. Every nation is going to follow in line with the US. We're going to see multiple stablecoins getting launched by some big players. A lot of them already have a stablecoin. But on top of this is leading to the FX market moving on chain. This is leading to a completely new financial system landscape. And talking about FX markets, right? The big market out there, that $7.5 trillion market, the BIS just posted with the Bank of England, Banque de France, Italy's central bank, Bundesbank as well, and the ECB. Project Meridian FX from the BIS Innovation Hub, plus these major banks, proves that wholesale payment infrastructures can be interoperable via new technologies for FX transactions. What's crazy about this is if we look into this, it's synchronized settlement in FX, and this is all utilizing new technologies such as distributed ledger technology. Interesting. And this is also at a time where we just saw Fireblocks talking about how, the FX market can live on chain and, how we're going to see the FX market fully tokenized. This is very interesting that these types of announcements are now coming out at a time where we're starting to see the rise of more and more stablecoins. Stablecoins are doing more volume than Visa. And again, this is something that we've been stating on this channel for a while. And what's crazy about all of this, right, is that Standard Chartered, right, which is a major bank behind Ripple, we've talked about them, back in 2023, their Zodium Markets was gearing up for a stablecoin Forex market debut. Back in 2023. We're seeing larger and larger corporates and more developed markets come to us either directly or through Standard Chartered and are looking at using stablecoins for cross-border payments. It wasn't soon after this that we saw Ripple go all in on RLUSD. And remember that Standard Chartered also joined Ripple-owned Medico back in 2023 as well, in December. This is months after this announcement of them gearing up for the FX market. Remember that everything starts with custody, especially stablecoin initiatives. And not to mention that also back in November of last year, stablecoins could grow to 10% of the US money supply, Standard Chartered and Zodium Markets are saying. Cross-border payments and FX equivalent transactions are key areas of growth. This is telling us that FX is going to move on-chain through stablecoins. Then we also had, on February 21st, Brazilian FX bank Brazil launches stablecoin on the XRP ledger. They're pushing for this on the XRP ledger, and this is a FX, mainly a primary, this is their primary activity, is foreign exchange. And we know that the stablecoin is using the XRP ledger. When we think about what's going on here, number one, I do think that Ripple and XRP benefit greatly from the stablecoin revolution. I also think that Ripple has been preparing for what's happening right now, which is, a big push on accelerating the transition from the traditional financial system to a digital financial system. This is essentially now being titled the Trump reset, but I don't think that that's exactly what we could call it, because this has been ongoing for well over a decade now. If you go back to 2015, 2014, even earlier, there was a big push on digitizing finance and also fixing cross-border payments in the traditional rails, because the traditional rails are outdated. It's antiquated rails. So when we think about what's going on here, guys, we are now witnessing the full-on plan being exposed by names like Scott Bessent and this admin. This admin is telling us exactly what's coming. Stablecoins, blockchain, new payment systems, tokenization, like all of this is part of the one big plan for the new financial system. And yes, I do strongly believe that Ripple and XRP are behind this. Why do I say that? Well, because even the BIS, Ripple is a part of the CPMI group. Cross-border payments market infrastructure. Guys, all of this is created to fix cross-border payments. The way that they're doing it is through stablecoins, tokenization, tapping into DLT. This is no longer a game of speculation because we already have all of the information right in front of us. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.